Arcane Season 2, Episode 8. After that flashback, I sort of don't want to go back to the current timeline. Not you too. Not her too. There's already so much going on. Don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but it's probably a bad thing. Did she just beat it, or did she just succumb to it? It was sort of glorious.
Drink the moment, Malmadada. There is no time like your first.
Okay, that's what they wanted.
An empath, attuned to the ethereal, able to sense
Whoa.
others' inner selves and bend their magic. A conduit and a mirror.
What does that make you? Even now you hide your true face behind illusions.
Truth is the greatest illusion of them all.
Oh boy. Oh great.
Where is my brother?
Regrettably, his fate wasn't among your mother's lies.
Giving him to us just to take him away.
A calamity is approaching, rivaling even the ancient rune wars. Ambessa sits at the helm, blinded by her thirst for legacy. Our efforts to divert her course have foundered. We can't afford another failure.
At least we could all agree that Ambessa is not great.
She's my mother. For all her faults, she has always done what she thought was best for the family.
That's a very charitable reading.
She hid you because you are that which she covets most. A weapon.
That wouldn't surprise me if true. Wouldn't put on the necklace given to me by her, but okay.
The world is a perilous place for a solitary mage. Sister.
I think the answer between the two teams is Team Mel, option C. Sometimes, not always, you can tell a lot about what people want by what they accuse others of. One of the things I believe about her speech is that Ambessa would use Mel as a weapon. I also think that Ambessa does value her as a daughter, but I also think it's very reasonable to believe that this thing also would use Mel as a weapon. Also, about the threat, it looks like that was Staff Man at the top of that Armageddon mountain peak, and Ambessa being the one, maybe unwittingly, to create the chaos. Part of what makes me against this figure, beyond the obvious, is the line she said about truth being the greatest illusion. Personally, I believe very strongly in objective truth, but even without getting into all that, without going into the philosophical realm of it, on a very human level, I think this is often used just as a tool of getting what someone wants, for someone to achieve selfish interests. If you invalidate the idea that there is a practical truth, then the truth about good and bad becomes something that's subjective, and so anybody's truth, anybody who wants anything, can be valid. That might sound so reductive that it doesn't exist, but here's a very commonplace example of that. In any given issue, what matters is not the truth of the matter or the practical reality of the matter, the goal of the matter, how do we get to the goal, the result, but rather who is the person that holds the opinion. And now that you've divorced the discussion from something more objective, you can now defeat the argument by defeating the person. There is, of course, some truth value in who the person is, in things related to the person's character, but theoretically, a person can be terrible and be right, but I frequently see it not treated that way. We like to move things into a domain of the subjective personal, away from the actual issue. This is not just an annoyance, I think it's actually something quite dangerous, because if we lose a common ground, then it devolves into this sort of free-for-all ideological war of words where nobody's really saying anything. The game then becomes not dealing with the issue, but making a box and using words to put people into that box. And if they're in this box that we've created, then they're disposed with. And so everybody's fighting to put each other into various boxes, and maybe even being convinced that that's the war that needs to be fought. Meanwhile, nothing of value or substance gets improved, and the very fabric of the tools we would use to make things better is undermined. As the Patriots AI predicted, the show's characters sometimes flirt with these ideas or adjacent ideas, but there is still a functional truth emerging. My best tool, the closest thing Ambessa had to a friend. Okay, so Vander's still alive. We're just stealing his juice for our terrible plan.
His injuries were too severe.
We do not lament a warrior's death.
I think she's lamenting a lot.
We avenge it. What of their herald?
And the blood should sustain Victor for a short
Oh,
while.
Victor's still alive. Wow, Victor is a survivor, man. The things he survived. Where's Jace?
The world I now see is more
What's your reading, Victor?
lucid than ever.
I don't know. This doesn't feel great.
You can inhabit your followers.
We are one. This is the glorious evolution.
It's bizarre. Last episode, we saw a little bit of a future version of this, maybe. And the things that chased Jace were automatons. That seems to be the implication that that's where this goes. That this is kind of a hive mind, mechanical will, devoid of the free will of humanity, which Victor was discussing in his, what I thought were his dying breaths. It was always a little bit creepy, this whole thing, but what made me reluctant to think about it too negatively was Victor himself and his clear heart, you know, like caring about saving one person, sacrificing his own life force to do so. And looking at the content of his final monologue, I don't think it's necessarily a negative or misanthropic reading of humanity. I think it could be. It also could be a positive view of humanity. But if Victor lands negative, which it seems like that's what happened, and that will, that double-sided nature of humanity has to be stamped out, then you've just awoken a very classic sort of god monster, where humanity's salvation lies in destroying its qualities. For Victor's sake, and also for Jace's, I hope that's not it.
But Jace's attack has done its work. I do not have the strength to overcome the defense he will raise against me.
I will deliver you to this anomaly.
Oh, it's possible Jace made this so much worse.
I will evolve all those willing.
Are you taking Victor's transformation? I'm not. Oh, this is what I'm more worried about this than the apocalypse. I'm more worried about the emotional fallout. Oh, hi. There you are. Where's Powder? Please use this opportunity to come together.
It is all of 3 dots to patch you up.
I need to get to Powder.
Where are the others?
Where's Powder? Powder! Powder!
Jinx.
Powder! No.
Jinx. Caitlin wanted to be here.
Oh no. Oh, what is it now? I don't think she died.
You can't blame yourself.
I don't need consolation. I need a plan.
I need a wartime conciliary.
Arrested?
I can handle this, Maddie. Check on my father.
Maddie has had an interesting role in this season, not what I expected.
The only thing Jinx cared about was getting you to safety.
Well, if she's in a prison, then she's safe.
Surrendered.
Yeah, we can
I didn't
work
even
this
have
out.
time to think before they hauled her off.
We have
She's been kept
power.
in the bunker while I
Yeah, we can fix all this. It can be fixed.
waiting for you to recover.
Good.
We can't erase our mistakes. None
This
of
is
us.
true.
Who decides who gets a second chance?
It's a really tough call. There's no obvious answer because it will depend on the person, and that's a mystery to us. It's even a mystery to the person in question. I think where I've ended up after watching a lot of things about redemption is that as much as you can, you try to separate the different components. So the terrible things someone did, those are just terrible things. They can't be undone. They don't need to be forgiven. Or forgiveness is not something that you can impose on others. Forgiveness is an individual choice. And as someone who's done something wrong, you can't expect forgiveness, and it's not up to you. You have to let go of that. You can't change the past. You can't undo the harm you've done if it's irreparable damage or death. That just is what it is, and there's no reason to try to gloss over that, pretend it's okay, sweep it under the rug, etc. It should be looked at with that severe level of scrutiny. Then there's the person now. And what do we actually want? We want the best, right? We want people to be able to live and do good things. And we do want people to be able to grow and change and to be able to do good things. And if someone actually has changed and wants to do good things and is capable of doing good things, punitive measures that harm them actually is creating more tragedy. I think the best outcome for somebody who did terrible things is to go on to do great things. The parts that are more difficult to answer, that create a lot of questions, are how do we know the person's really changed? And also, what precedent does that set? Maybe all this is obvious, but I think where I separate from ideas I frequently see are where I don't see it being the practical considerations of rehabilitation, but instead a sort of revenge-inspired bloodlust, where it's perhaps not actually coming from desiring something great and a great outcome, where no empathy is afforded whatsoever because it's much easier and in some way more alluring and satisfying and simple to follow that pull of bad people must be punished, things that scare me must be harmed. Besides, what has Jinx done bad lately? You need to eat something.
If you're here to kill me, make sure to finish the job.
I don't think she's a big threat right now.
There are no happy endings.
Does seem that way in the show so far.
I'm giving you this one chance to account for your actions, all the pain you've caused.
I don't think she wants to bother right now.
Do what you came here to do.
It's also terrible
Hating
timing in the show, seeing this right after the last episode with Happy Powder.
I just don't have the energy for it any longer.
This whole thing is a relief for Caitlin. Wow, looking at this place now, I miss the days of the snobby aristocracy. Good heavens, pish posh and all that. It's not great, but the incompetent, snobby, out-of-touch aristocracy seems a lot less harmless than dictator bent on supernatural-driven world conquest. This is a very interesting reunion because they have a long history, but they're not the same people. I'm a mage now.
What happened to you?
I was in the hole, chased by machines. I ate lizards.
Doesn't matter.
It really does, though. It really matters a lot.
You're the reason we didn't die in the attack.
Oh, she instinctively protected them.
How can I know you aren't lying to me?
Why would you think I am?
Because you used me and Victor for Hex Tech. You called us investments.
Admittedly, her character was pretty shady at the beginning.
You were a wise investment.
He's not stable. Clearly. You need to... Oh. What the hell?
Allow us a moment of civility, Jace. We must talk.
I think that would maybe be great. We should probably talk a lot.
This is your obsession. Everything you've done to these people, you did alone.
I think you just hear him out. It's not his real body anyway.
But I'm alone no longer. I now speak with all their voices.
That actually sounds pretty lonely, though. Okay, yeah, Victor's sort of OP now.
The glorious evolution is destined. Let us instead do this once again as partners.
We can maybe explain more of what you mean by glorious evolution, if it's what you think I mean. I think it falls into a very similar category to what we've seen before, where evolution means complete castration, neutralizing of all of the best elements of humanity because they also are responsible for the worst. Next thing you know, you're a cold, lifeless alien traveling the universe trying to steal people's bananas.
My partner died in this room.
People give up really easily on others in this show. You could extend a little bit of hope and humanity sometimes, you know. Jace is definitely feeling outmatched here. And it's not even real Victor. It's just puppet Victor. I still believe there's some humanity left in Victor. I mean, he's Victor, man. And also, it's kind of funny. This came full circle. When Victor was introduced, I was highly distrustful of him because I felt like he was being framed as a villain. And then I felt terrible for thinking that and spent a couple episodes apologizing for it, if I remember correctly. Hey, here we are. Should have never doubted myself. I still love Victor, though. I can't see him as bad anymore. I definitely don't want what he wants, though. I mean, I think he's reflecting there. He was reflecting. Like, it's very easy to tell yourself something is great and that the damage doesn't matter, collateral damage doesn't matter. Then you actually are in the act of doing something terrible. It's different. Pretty great, pretty awesome. And wonderful tag team. He's getting corrupted. You were a great investment too.
Doctor, you may begin the process.
Doesn't look like he feels great about it. Yeah, it's like, we've all done this. We've all been sitting in our rooms or walking or whatever, thinking about, well, I know what's best for society. And you imagine inflicting harm on people who do things wrong, people who are in the way or whatever. This sort of soulless arithmetic in your imagination. It's very different when you actually come face to face with people. Like, way before something of that scale, it's like imagining yourself in a situation and you just crush the conversation and every answer you have is perfect and it goes super well. Then you actually enter the situation and suddenly it's so much more real and colorful and 3D and there are just so many more emotions than you expected and it's just not the same thing as imagining it. That's just social interactions or events or whatever. The reality of actually doing things, the reality of making huge changes, the ripple effects of that and the people it touches, to see all that would probably bring even the most confident person to their knees. This is one of the reasons why I think skin in the game is an underrated concept. Yeah, sure, you know, evolution for society. Wait, I'm choking Jace? Like, what? This is happening with my hand or someone else's hand? Why am I choking Jace? I mean, for the evolution, I guess. People who don't have that kind of reflection, I think, those are when it gets into like, wow, this is really dark character. Like Silco. The most real evil is like knowing it, knowing the pain and tragedy and doing it anyway, even wanting it. All the other stuff maybe just a more forgivable form of ignorance.
Go away. You're too late.
Oh, it's a hell of a place.
Oh, the voices are back. I was hoping it was Vi. It was too much to ask for. Vi has to come. Speaking of Silco.
Killing is a cycle. One that started long before Vanda and me.
On this, we agree.
I'm done running in circles.
We probably disagree on the
We build our
conclusion.
own prisons. Bars forged of oaths codes, commitments.
Everyone is a slave to something.
Without an accepted limitation.
And alternatively, people are the authors of their own misery.
We inhabit these cells, these identities, and call them us. I thought I could break free by eliminating those I deemed my jailers.
Is this post-mortem redemption from Silco? Maybe? I hope so.
I think the cycle only ends when you find the will to walk away.
This is really interesting. It's something I struggle with constantly. As somebody who always has said freedom is my highest goal, if you work at it long enough, you start to approach a point where you actually have become very free in all the ways you thought freedom meant. Let's say you have all the freedom of time. Within reason, you have freedom of purchase, freedom of location. Hypothetically, it's to say you have no material worries. You can do whatever you want. Have you achieved freedom? I think the instinct is to say yes. But what you find is that there's still something lurking. There are still chains that you feel. And those, to Silco's point, are probably self-made. They are your own fears, your doubts, your expectations, the things you're stuck to from your past, and the obsessions that force your hand in your action and your outlook. I think it's dealing with those things that is where freedom truly lies. And in that sense, material elements aside, though those certainly are important also in a different way, you can be right now as free as you ever will be. I don't believe in like live in the moment, the future doesn't matter, because I think the future is really important, and I think how you visualize the future will greatly affect and inform this moment. Nevertheless, in a very important sense, the only thing you'll ever experience is the current moment. And there is almost definitely a mistake in writing off your freedom, writing off the best things you could possibly have for some later date and seeing them as unattainable to you right now. Because if you can't be free now, if you can't figure out some way to find a sort of connection to life and meaning and true spirit of existence, there's no guarantee that any material change in your future will bring that on either. And I wouldn't necessarily call the answer walking away, though that's sort of just a nitpick. I get what he means. It's maybe more like an unclenching. It's easy to get really, really tightly wound up into one very particular view of what your worth means and what your life means, and to carry these spiritual judgments of character that you are X or Y, when we're all much more than any one label, especially across time. And there's sort of nothing that's not possible.
Jinx?
Oh, she showed up. That's great.
What are you doing?
This could be it. Here we go.
Help use all that explosive potential of yours for good. Maybe we could rewrite your story like you did with Zahn.
This is great. This is faith and belief. This is what I've been waiting for so long. Your big sister is here when you need her.
You're gonna give up on me, are you?
That's it. That's it. No. 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 Why?
You don't have to worry about me.
No. Why is this happening to me?
You deserve to be with her.
We can make all of it possible.
Break the cycle.
I don't think that you are. I don't think you understand the cycle well enough. Poor Vi, man. She finally got it right. And she still gets punished. After all the mistakes, she finally gets there, and this is how she gets repaid. You hope in these situations, though, the silver lining is that sometimes it takes a while to register, but Vi made that very clear, and Powder seems to have internalized it to some degree. That is a very good kind of mind virus that will come up again. She will remember that if she lives long enough. It just needed to be said, just that one time.
You've been an idiot.
You've been a lot of things.
You're hurting too.
My mom is very bad.
This blood is alien to me, yet it has dictated the course of my entire life. I'm no more than a passenger. A life I spent in self-pity. Now it's gone.
Speaking of freedom,
I've been confused about a lot lately.
I'm a little worried about your hand.
But there's one thing I know in my bones. There is no force in this world that can control you.
Very dramatic, Jace. What is our government now? People are nervous.
Quiet! Forgive me, but we don't have much time. A storm is coming. The likes of which Piltover, perhaps Runeterra itself, has never faced.
It's like that Avengers movie, the second one.
This isn't a fight for ideals or territory. It's a fight for humanity itself. I'm asking, no begging you, every one of you, top side and bottom, to aid us in this coming war.
Here's the Grand Uniter. It's bigger than our conflict. Hi, we like you now. Sorry about all that. Can you, help us fight?
But I'm choosing to fight. And I pray that you will join me.
This is going to be a big who's who, just like the My Hero Academia war. Who really cares about what? Stuff, it's a lot to change real quickly. A lot of people, their whole lives' identities were geared up against the fight between the two different sides. Now suddenly we got to team up, and yet, yeah. It won't always be easy. Can we let Vi out? We kind of need her. Caitlin?
Had a feeling I might find you here.
Ouch.
I choose wrong every time. And because of it, I've lost everyone.
You really think I needed all the guards at the Hex Gates? Sorry to say, you've grown a bit predictable.
Oh no. Poor Maddie, relegated to a side character and side chick. America also confirmed real in the Arcane universe, just like France. Here? Come on. Sex scene was not on my bingo card this episode, but okay. Real. It's a little weird that they're doing that in Powder's cell. And Powder's off to maybe end herself. Bye, man. She is a real character. I think she's not okay.
You're alive.
Finally, my weapon. I mean...
They're nothing but lies.
You taught me the best lies come wrapped in truth.
At least we believe in truth.
He got caught in their web and with every action grew more deeply entangled.
So you let him die?
I carried him in my belly, nursed him from my bosom. He was all the sweetness in my heart. For that, they took him, carved into me a wound that will never close.
I mean, I'm not necessarily unconvinced that the mages need to go. They don't seem like great people, at least the one we've seen. And she's not unsympathetic in her speech about her son and her difficult choices. But this is a lot that she's doing and almost certainly going to backfire. And almost certainly her being a puppet, but she can't see that.
Piltover has nothing to do with your feud. Board your boats. Leave our shores.
She doesn't care.
Their very nature violates the most core of Noxian principles, that every one of us is equal on the battlefield. That through cunning, sweat, and skill...
The other three principles of power.
I've found another way.
I don't think you know what you're inviting in.
Imagine, child, an army that need never fear death.
Whoa, wonderful. It's great. Maybe Vander doesn't make it out of this. Maybe it heals him?
I guess this is goodbye.
See ya. I was never into you.
I will miss our talks.
It's kind of cold. It sucks.
No. You won't.
Oh, speaking of tragic existences. Man, astral plane breakup. This is not looking great for Vander's survival chances. Come on, Vander. He's a fighter. That's his gift. He never gives up. It's all coming together. Once you let this thing get out, how do you even stop it? Ah, confusing as hell, because it looks like Vander's getting erased and becoming one of the machine things. Though, I mean, it's Vander, and he's already died. Maybe there's still some hope. Maybe there's still some hope. And Victor gets Vander's special qualities. It looks awesome. Looks amazing. Yeah, definitely you crossed the line. All of you crossed the line. This is getting crazy. It's really sad to see Victor make these choices knowing Victor who he is. I think there's still some hope for him. I think we're seeing that in some knowing glances. Evolution of humanity, eliminating pain, all that stuff is wonderful until you're choking your best friend. You might wonder what it's for. A lot of great stuff happening this episode. Also, weirdly, as Ambessa reaches her worst point, she also gets one of her most sympathetic moments. I mean, she's awful. She's also gripped by pain. Speaking of the prison of one's heart, you get Vi finally being in the right place at what seemed like the right time, doing the right thing, not casting aside her sister, and somehow that ending in sex. Weird. That actually is very Vi. This is getting more dire, but maybe it's just me. I think it also gets more optimistic. I think the water we're swimming in gets better over time because the events get worse, the stakes get raised, but that also has a way of increasingly revealing what matters and people understanding what matters. In another episode or show, I was thinking that maybe one of the biggest problems of modern society is not having clear railroads of what needs to be done and action and principles that historically came from adversity. It's like, you know what you have to do. You got to take care of your family or else you die. There are invading barbarians, so you must fight or or else you die. All people need purpose and have purpose, but without circumstantially given obvious guardrails to what the purpose is, you're forced to make your own. And if you're not good at making your own, or if society is giving you a strange one and you're just accepting that, it gets really weird, and you will find a target, you will find an enemy to fight, you will find a struggle, but it's not always clear that that struggle is actually a good one. It's possible that your struggle is a destructive one, because if you create demons where there aren't any, that probably is going to do more harm than good. In Attack on Titan, Pixis mentions that the best thing that can happen to humanity is a common threat, which sort of plays out in the show, and definitely has its truth. You know, it's easy to imagine, it's not a new idea, how united humanity would be in the face of an alien invasion. See Independence Day, etc. This also happens in Watchmen. But I don't think the answer is creating a common threat. The answer, I think, is actually finding real meaning and value that matters, that actually is beneficial in the new world. Understanding the significance of goodness, maybe. Understanding the importance of legacy and thinking about time and the future and all the people that come after us. And I think if that were to be fully conceptualized and realized, we wouldn't need like an alien force or, you know, an army of soulless invading hive mind automatons. But seeing it, it kind of makes it obvious, right? What was all the squabbling for? Do you know who the real enemy is? Speaking of Attack on Titan. But now we have very, very clear parameters. We are going to find out who we are. And we also are more informed because we've been through some real stuff and we're still here. The characters are still fighting. They have clearer hopes. They are more aware of their pitfalls. They know the taste of pain and failure. So something good can come out of this yet.